Okay, here we go. So this is going on to game number 6. This could be match point for Vortix. Score is currently 3-2. We are on French Pass, and it is a Holy Roman Empire war. And we figured we might see this. Take a look at those relics on the minimap because they are likely going to play a very, very key role as we get into the Third Age with that Regnitz Cathedral. What do you think we might see here, Lidakor?
So there's a lot of ways that you can play this, but this is probably going to be as meta as possible. So I would expect fast feudal into professional scouts, ferrying the deer into the influence radius of your Akin Chapel, try to go for a fast castle age, and then as you go up to castle age, you're going to start popping out some horsemen so you have some map presence. Try to secure relics early on. The moment you hit castle age, you will get some knights in, and you're just going to be fighting for relics. This could be very well 5, 6, 7 minutes of fighting for the relics as both players will try to snipe prelates. Looking at the relic positions, those seem to favor Hera a tiny bit. He's got 2 relics close to his base. There's one to the north of Vortix, and there's sort of 2 on neutral ground, so Hera has to be happy with that relic spawn.
I would just love nothing more than it to be like a feudal man-at-arms versus man-at-arms. I know it won't be, but it would be fun. If it's not that, it's going to be H3, and it's just going to be, I can only assume, knights? Is it going to be knights or man-at-arms? Or what do they make here? I don't know. I haven't seen a ton of HRE mirrors.
So, when it comes to the Holy Roman Empire mirrors, that's an interesting matchup because the biggest strength of the Holy Roman Empire is their economy. They don't have anything spectacular as their units. It's not like they have fire lancers like the Chinese, or long-range bombards, or long-range springholes in Imperial and Streltsy like the Rus. So, especially in post-Imperial scenarios, the Holy Roman Empire army is rather generic. The only thing that they really have a major buff to is their infantry, but obviously in a mirror setup, you're just going to be trading infantry evenly. So, this is gonna be interesting to look at, and I feel like this could come down to timings more than unit compositions. So being able to snag one extra relic over your opponent and then deciding when to go into Imperial with the Palace of Swabia is the main question, I do believe, because that can determine how much you can build up your eco over your opponent. But if you go up too early, you could die to a Castle Age push. So that is going to be the main factor, I believe.
And for the folks back at home who aren't super familiar with all of these landmarks, do you want to explain a little bit about the Regnitz and the Palace of Swabia and why they are so powerful?
So, one of the most interesting lineups of landmarks is the Holy Roman Empire, mainly because for every age up, they basically have the obvious pick. It's not like you really choose between 2 options. Basically, every single age up, there is an obvious pick, which is much stronger than the other. So going up to Feudal Age, you got the Akin Chapel, which is going to increase the radius of the Prelate's boosting ability, and the Prelate does boost the villagers by quite a bit when it comes to gather speed. It's a 40% gather speed boost. So placing an Akin Chapel in your eco like that will have a massive gather rate boost. Then you have the Regnitz Cathedral, which gives 200% extra relic gold, making it 300 gold per minute for each relic, enormous amount of gold income. And last but not least, you go up to Imperial to the Palace of Swabia, a town center-like building that produces villagers 75% faster and 75% cheaper. So that is the actual villager printer out there. Once you got that building up, you're not even making villagers in your town centers. And that's the building that can often justify a fast Imperial play from the Holy Roman Empire.
I mean, in that final round, I mean, how fitting. Vortix has been in this situation with HRE just last weekend, right? With the with that final round when we had all of those villagers being pulled to kill the Mangonel.
Absolutely. Coming in with a mill is Vortix. That's a sign that he wants to go for professional scouts, because otherwise he's not in the direct need of getting those berries at this point. That's usually the way to play Holy Roman Empire, simply because you want to leverage that Akin Chapel as much as possible. So you want to bring in the resources into this influence radius. Look at the other side, same thing, mill for Hera. So identical builds for the 2 players out here.
Yeah, that's why they call it a mirror. So we'll see who has whose prelate has faster legs to get those relics here. Will be the real question. Will they train knights maybe to go out and camp them out, or another thing you could do, which I don't think we're going to see here, is you could send a villager out right now and wall some relics to try to buy her some time. We do see a stable coming down for both players. So, yeah, this is going to be a mirror.
That stable was a little late here for Vortix compared to Hera. Hera already has that up, so you can start popping out scouts. As you said, sending out a villager is always an option. The risky thing is that you know there is going to be scouts roaming the map, so you risk that villager being picked off here at the beginning. Whereas, I think the best way that you can control relics is by making horsemen as you go into Castle Age. Because you can only start making knights when you're in Castle Age, but having 2 or 3 horsemen out, by the time you get there to intercept those early prelates could be valuable.
Yep, definitely. So we see the scouts coming out. Are they going for... Wait, is he going to go for professional scouts possibly? Or
Yep.
I think maybe already has. Yeah.
Yep, okay. He's going for professional scouts. Both of them are. We already have that finished for Hera, and it just finished for Vortix as well. Scouts coming out for both. And you see, Hera is immediately starting off by taking 1 deer from his opponent's side.
That 1 deer can make the difference here. But hold on. Vortix is doing the same? Oh, no, that's from his own. That's from his own.
Yeah, that's his own. And speaking of which, that's a terrible deer spawn for him. If you look at Hera's deer, those are rather close to his base, one on the left, one on the right. But this one actually is supposed to belong to Vortix, and it is massively exposed. So we can safely say that the map spawn wasn't really generous to Vortix over here with the relics and the hunts.
Hey, you know what? This is Vortix's match point. You know, if he wants to be the champion, he can deal with a little bit of a less than favorable map spawn. Maybe Hera could have a chance to stay in this series, but probably won't make it a huge difference, but we'll see.
You see that Hera is now adding horsemen over here, so he knows exactly he needs to swing this battle in his favor. No horsemen coming in from Vortix. So, if horseman is not coming in for Vortix, that means that he's gonna have a tiny bit faster Castle Age because he's not spending his resources on it. But in exchange, it's gonna be difficult for him to get those relics in, and I actually think that adding the horsemen right now for Hera is probably the better way to go.
Yeah, obviously horsemen could start to deal some damage out to either the scouts or to the prelates as they come out. And there we go. We see that cathedral coming down. 9 villagers working on that. Are there any prelates walking out already? Sometimes you see that during age up. I don't see any quite yet.
Nope. It's a little risky to move out.
Yeah.
Usually you want to delay moving out as much as possible as well, because your prelate that you start moving out with is the one that's garrisoned into the Aachen Chapel. So the moment you unpop it, your eco boost will be gone in like 10-15 seconds. So you basically want to minimize the amount of time that the prelate is outside. Hera actually went for a prelate from his town center, so he is moving up already, whereas his opponent isn't. So at this point, Hera might have a head start when it comes to relic gathering.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. So going to go for those. And of course, once he gets those gold, could either go work on thinking go straight to Imperial or could go into Knights. Any combination of things like that. We have another building drop. Is that another stable, I can only assume, in Hera's base? Yes, there's another stable.
So, Vortix is up to Castle Age here. He already moved out with his prelate. As you see, the timing of this one is that you want to get to that relic the moment you hit Castle Age. And Hera is actually moving to the north. I wonder if he wanted to steal this one. That might have been a little overly ambitious. Or he's just running circles around the wolf, because despite the infantry, he's actually harassing the prelate, and the prelate cannot do anything to stop that. Hera almost up. I think he's gonna be able to yoink this relic, but Vortix should be able to take this. Hera's got 2 on this side though, so I think Hera's gonna be the one that will be sitting on 3. And that in a mirror matchup could be a massive difference maker.
Yeah, the only religion those wolves know is death. And those mighty infantry going down to the horsemen. And Hera will be picking up that first relic there.
And Vortix actually decided to go for this relic first. So at this point, if Hera has another prelate coming this direction, he might even yoink the one in the middle. This is looking like an extremely good start for Hera, I must say.
Yeah. Oh, and we do have a knight out there slaughtering that that scout, and Vortix is looking. What is that guy doing? Is he looking maybe to get that relic? He was a little further out there.
Yeah, he's going for that one. Hera needs some cavalry on the field. I'm not sure where his horsemen went. These are chasing a scout on the right side, and the core concept of going for the horseman here would be to snipe that one monk, because the knight takes some time to kill your horseman. But, oh, did that animation cancel attack just stop the prelate from picking that relic up?
I don't think so. Not that I know. That's news to me if it is. But I think Vortix is going to get that relic, which is good, because this was pretty far away from his base in general.
Yeah, that is a massive win there. Hera's horseman being all the way out on the right side actually hurts him quite badly. Hera already has 2 relics though, and the third one should be under his control if he gets some knights over there, but he actually needs some knights to protect that. This
There
could
they
be
are.
closer than Hera has hoped.
Working on getting that in. Will Vortix make it back? It does look like he will get at least those 2 relics. So the battle for the 3rd relic. This is kind of exactly what we expected to see here in this mirror. And, it'll be a matter of, each one of those is 300 gold per minute. So that's just a 300 gold difference. I wouldn't say it's a game making thing, but it obviously adds up over time. That's a lot of gold.
Absolutely. It is much more impactful than in any other mirror, because any other mirror setup, we are talking about 100 golds difference per relic. So, for example, if we are looking at a Rus mirror where relics are also pretty impactful, that's only 100 gold per minute if you fall behind. But in here, it's 300 gold per minute. So that extra relic for either player is actually amplified in importance. And you see, 2 horsemen might be just enough to deal with that prelate. You don't want to fight the knight, you want to kill the prelate.
Yep. And we also see, I think, a sacred site. Oh, look at that. Wolo coming in, but he does go down. Vortix, look at that. Healing his knight. I think he's waiting to pick up that relic because you actually can't heal after you pick up the relic. But those horsemen. Oh, Wolo, will he get this?
Oh, that
He does it!
No,
Unbelievable! Stays alive, but he doesn't get the conversion. It has 2 HP. 5 health. Wow.
I
There we
told you
go.
that this is gonna be like 5 minutes of fighting for that 1 relic in here. I think Hera could have killed that prelate before the conversion finishes, by the way. It was just 1 hit away, but he didn't feel confident, and he just ran out, turned back, and killed the prelate. He also captured the sacred site on the left side, and now we have some knights coming in from him. Vortix is on 2 stables, so is Hera, and Vortix actually went for a 3rd one, so knight numbers might be in his favor, but Hera getting close to that relic, and I think Hera's gonna be able to secure that for himself.
Yeah, it does look like it. And his, yep. I assume he's going to get that. And now it's going to be a night war for a while, and we'll have to see how this advances. And honestly, if you're in Hera's shoes, Hera's trying to stay alive in this tournament. He's probably going to feel pretty good if he can get that back home. Look, he's going to take that sacred site before going home, being a little greedy there. But
Yeah, that's a
I don't
little-
think Vortix is going to be able to deny that.
That's a little too greedy, because there's Vortix coming in with a knight, and I
He
feel
could
like...
kill him fast enough. Oh my gosh, he could possibly lose this. He might try to Wolo here, but yeah, I think that might be too greedy. If he stops this, it'll at least buy him some time.
Yeah,
He's not-
that's
There it
overly
goes.
greedy here from Hera. Now, Hera's got the military presence in the middle on both
Oh my
flanks
gosh.
to prevent Vortix from taking that home, but this could have been way worse for Hera, because Vortix could have just taken that relic if Hera didn't have enough army here, so I kind of feel like Hera should have just gone back home with that relic and then come back for that sacred site later.
Yeah, I mean, so right now they're even on gold generation. Nobody gets that relic. It's gonna sit there for a while. We do see a little bit of a skirmish going on in Vortix's base. I'm not sure. Can you pull up the military graph? I'm kind of curious who's lost more units.
As things stand, Vortix actually has a 9-4 lead, although
Yeah.
part of that was monks.
Scouts and-
Yeah, mostly scouts.
Okay, and I'm assuming villager count's probably very, very similar. We do see some barracks down for Vortix right now, and he has 1, 2, 3 stables. What military building? Oh, there we go. Vortix, could he possibly get this relic home? This would be pretty huge, because I thought Hera definitely had it. He just left the scholar. A little bit of a throw,
Yeah.
to be honest. But we have some little
Yeah,
skirmishes going on right now between these knights.
Now, that monk still has a long way to go back
Yeah.
home, but it's looking better and better, and ultimately, going for that sacred site could cost that relic for Hera. Would be a massive disaster for him. Big fight coming in here as well, and we got some spearmen supporting, so things are falling apart for Hera over here.
Yeah, I thought Hera was looking pretty good, and now it's looking like Vortix going to have a chance at this. Looks like that monk is going to get by, and I think Vortix is going to get this gold. So he will have 900 gold generation per minute, which is a pretty big win for him right now.
Absolutely. That's the stealth forest helped a lot for that monk stay hidden from the knights. And now we got some spearmen fighting in here as well. Obviously, just a handful of spearmen won't be enough against that many knights, but they definitely trade quite cost efficiently. Hera is coming in with the Vols though, so I would assume that now he's gonna just go try and play the 2 sacred sites game. Knights coming past from Vortix though, and that could be a nice raid inside Hera's base, because Hera didn't really bother fighting those
Yeah.
so far.
You know, we had all this talk about how the relics were closer for Hera, but here Vortix has pulled it off and has all of them at home. And now it'll come down to these Night Wars and maybe some spears. It doesn't look like. I mean, Hera's already sitting on 1,000 gold. Will he just go up to H4, or is he going to train some more? I'm not. Oh, I'm sorry. That was the. I think it was. Was that the military graph? I don't know.
That was the income per man. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. But Vortix has 1,900 gold. Maybe a market could help him out here. That's a lot of gold to be sitting on.
I mean, he's been mining gold for a long time, even with the Ragna's Cathedral gold. And that's going to be an even trade of knights, unless some spearmen join the party, and the spearmen do. So Hera's forces here might actually get cleaned up. I don't think that he killed a single villager. Behind this one on the other side, looks like it's also going to be a cleanup. So it's just mutual annihilation of armies so far.
Yeah, so I got to ask you. So we got all the knight models, right? You know, you've got the French ones, really fancy looking. You got the HRE here, and they've got like really the silver look. Which knight do you think looks the most badass to you?
HRE by far. Like,
yeah,
that's my favorite knight.
They look. I don't know why they just look way more intimidating than all the other knights. In the French one's quite fancy, but yeah, these guys are scary.
Yeah, they look very, very shiny with that silver armor. It's also a fun thing to talk about because you can actually distinguish the players' civilizations based on the look of their knights. Same applies with some other units, so like veteran archers, men-at-arms, but those work with knights. So you can just look at these knights, even without knowing the civilizations, you can tell that these are Holy Roman Empire knights.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now Hera does have that one sacred site. So you would say if we're counting all the free gold generation, right? Vortix has plus 900 per minute, and Hera from the regiments from his cathedral has plus 600 per minute. Then he's grabbed 2 sacreds right now, so that puts him at 800 per minute. If I'm breaking my rule of doing math on stream, and that makes him only 100 less gold per minute of free income for you.
That is indeed the case.
Scientists back at home.
And we got one wall up north for Hera. He probably wants to reinforce it to the stone walls simply because the knights and spearmen can burn through palisades but not through stone walls. And in this game, you can really justify just trying to stall the game and going for that sacred site victory because defeating your opponent is very difficult with all these narrow choke points leading into their bases. But it's also going to be difficult for Hera to hold off those spearmen because he only has got knights.
Yeah, now, I do believe, isn't it HRE spearmen still don't brace, isn't that correct?
Yep, they don't have their brace ability, although in an HRE mirror, that is just making things even, but obviously that hurts the player that only is having spearmen, right?
They still will deal the damage, it's just the charge that really makes the difference. Uh-oh.
Alright, I want to hear you pronounce that.
Oh boy, don't put me on the spot like this! Landsknecht. I know I said it wrong.
Here come the Landsknechte here for Hera. Now, those could work really well against the spearmen. It's a little difficult to fight against the knights with them, simply because the knights are pretty tanky, knights do a lot of damage, and these guys are fairly fragile. But if you sort of start trading evenly with knights, and then you send in the Landsknechte, those could just shred everything, although men-at-arms would probably work way better here. Men-at-arms with 200 weapons and maces, they actually do pretty well against knights even, so you could have that unit deal with everything that Vortix has. Vortix will neutralize the sacred site, so that countdown will probably disappear soon.
Yeah, we're going to see who watched that that Age of Noob video, right, where he was showing these guys off. But here we go, big battle, knights on the front line, trying to make contact, and also the spearmen. This is a messy one here. Who's going to come out ahead? I feel like Hera's going to be okay because he has reinforcing troops here. They all spread out on the line.
Now he's okay because the Landsknechte are fighting the spearmen. At the beginning of the battle, it was terrible. You could see that the Landsknecht just died all before doing a lot of damage to the knights, because the knights, even if it's air damage, they have a ton of HP. But once they started hitting the spearmen, it suddenly became a snowball, and they just absolutely slaughtered all the spearmen. The Landsknecht is used exactly the way that Hera used them, against large masses of cheap, low HP units like spearmen.
And it really is more of a kind of a support unit in a way. You can't just make an entire army of these things because, if he had faced the head-on charge of the knights, like we're about to almost all there, they would have been in trouble. But if they can mix in with an army, they could really deal some DPS.
Absolutely. You don't even mind fighting against the Spearman with your Knights at this point, because the most important thing is that the Knights will just absorb some damage from the Spearman, but the Landsknecht will just absolutely shred them. So this is one of those scenarios where it's actually something that you can justify using your Knights as the actual meat shield against the Spearman.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I always appreciate when there's a unit that encourages a diverse army. Like, you can't just have a whole army of these. You have to have them mixed in. Like, this is what I like about Age of Empires is when you have to have a diverse army of counters. I don't like it when there's something that's kind of like feels too strong in the meta and you just make one unit to win with. So it's fun to see the play there, and it made a big difference here in this battle for Hera.
Cough, Cav Archers, cough.
I'm not calling out any single unit.
Now, Vortix has something to say about this one as well, and honestly, Spearman and Landsknecht, they will actually beat the Knights and Landsknecht approach. This is one of those interesting scenarios where it might be risky for Vortix to go for men-at-arms, because I honestly don't know how those perform against the Landsknecht. The Landsknecht is a light infantry unit, so you wouldn't get the maces bonus, you would only get the 200 weapons bonus. But these guys have fairly low HP. In exchange, though, the men-at-arms would take a lot of damage from all that area damage, so that's a question mark to me. I don't know how men-at-arms would perform against Landsknecht, but I think it's too risky for Vortix to try right now.
Yeah. I did see someone in chat was asking about, like, we were talking about the Spearman brace, and maybe not everyone is familiar, but Spearmen are supposed to all automatically brace when you attack move, meaning they will cancel out and stun a charging knight, but it's bugged for HRE, so they actually will not do that brace ability. But obviously this is a mirror, so it's somewhat of a moot point, but it does make a difference.
Oh, here come the Landsknecht fights, and that is just gonna be a slaughter. All that area damage going down on both sides. It actually makes the fights a lot more snowbally.
Look at that. It just melts when those things are in the battle. You're either dying fast or someone else is dying fast.
Absolutely. And having 5 more of that actually helps a lot. Because, having 5 more is just a ton more damage output. Not just hitting one unit, but you're hitting a lot of them. So, as I said, those are very, very snowbally unit composition. Looks like we have a bit of a counterattack here by Vortix. We haven't talked about the villager counts for a while. 62 for Vortix, and only 44 for Hera. What's happening here? Oh boy. Quite a lot of raiding was going on here so far.
Yep. This is scrappy, and what we do have to think about while this is going on a little bit later is, Vortix should theoretically be getting more gold income right now for free, but of course we gotta look at the village. What is the villager count right now, by the way? There's been some raids. Wow.
Yeah.
Vortix way up on villagers and relics. I mean, his eco should be miles ahead, and I can only help but think that this could be the match point for Vortix to head on in the series, but Hera's still out on the map, otherwise you wouldn't know.
Manganos coming in, and Manganos perform very well against Landsknecht because they're just so minimal HP. One Manganos shot destroys a lot of them. But as you said, those raids were huge, and it very much seemed like as Hera was microing his forces, he wasn't looking at his eco, and some knights snuck in. Yeah. They had to sneak in on the left side because the right side is fully walled off.
We didn't see it either. And now, what's the population that Vortix is at right now? Because I feel like he just needs, you can have all that resource from the bank, but you gotta spend it. So maybe it hasn't really made a big difference quite yet, but he needs to spend that res or age up.
Now, one Mangonel shot could be decisive here, although you don't really have a good meat shield to protect that Mangonel with.
Oh, man.
Yup, that's exactly what I was afraid of. That you had to pop that Mangonel out in that very moment because the Siege Workshop is burning down, but you just didn't have the meat shield in front. And now I feel like Vortix is in a commanding position because we've talked about mirror matchups, small differences like even just 5 villagers advantage could be massive, let alone having 1 extra relic in the Ragni's Cathedral for the entire duration of the game. And now we're talking about 26 villagers discrepancy. So if you look at that, 4k gold in the bank for Vortix. He balances out his eco, goes into Imperial with the plus of Schwabi, and he can just widen that villager gap even further.
I was going to say, that's the only way Hera could, out of all the civilizations, Hera's in a position where if he quickly went to H4, if he realizes how far behind he is, he could pop out a ton of villagers, but problem is Vortix is going to be thinking that already.
Yeah, that is actually a good point as well. That Vortix, he can build up his lead even more with the Palace of Swabia, whereas for Hera, if he went for a faster Imperial Age, he could have tried to cut down on that lead, but it looks like Vortix is the one going into Imperial here, and that is, I do believe, the Palace of Swabia, indeed it is. This is gonna be extremely difficult for Hera to come back from, because he's gonna be behind in economy for a long, long time. He basically needs a super long game to come back into this one.
And Vortix playing this very smart. I mean, let's be real. He's way ahead in resources right now. He has to know it from those raids. He could have just, you know, like I was mentioning, he could have spent all of his res, throw down some different military buildings, and tried to push right here in age 3. But why do that? This is late in a tournament right now. He's playing it safe. He's going to 4, going to finish off his boom, get those next techs. I mean, this is exactly what he should be doing, not taking any chances, because let's face it, Hera wants to stay in this tournament. He could also go H4 and have a big villager boom of his own if Vortix didn't go up to H4.
Absolutely. A side note worth mentioning is that the Landsknecht are very expensive. They are 100 gold apiece. So that extra gold, obviously, from the Regnitz Cathedral for Vortix also helps a lot when it comes to reinforcing that. Now he's up to Imperial Age, so it's going to come down to Imperial Age units versus Castle Age units. I really don't know how Hera could come back into this one. 46 villagers versus 73, and a complete age difference.
If there's a spot we could sneak a demo ship in, we could turn this around. There's a scrappy battle going on there. But yeah, it looks like Vortix is up. Click on that town center so people can see how cheap these villagers are. I don't know what's better, the fact that they're 12 food or train in 5 seconds.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like the faster training is what makes it really broken. Simply because you can compensate for any kind of villager deficit with that. Like, your opponent could have been doing a boom on 5 town centers for 20 minutes, and you can compensate for it in like 10 minutes or so. The fact that it is also very, very cheap just helps making sure that you never idle that building. It's so effective that you're not even making any more villagers on your starting town center, because it is just very ineffective to do that.
I've gotten into some arguments with some people about the strength of the HRE landmarks, and was told that I didn't know I was talking about HRE's not that good. But I don't know. I'm convinced time and time again that these landmarks are just pretty crazy. And if I don't know, they're great late game. Obviously, you have to get here, and that's what you know. The argument always is that, well, HRE needs it. But I would like to maybe see all of the landmarks have similar strengths or something, or you know, see some other civs have some similarly powerful eco. You know, I guess there's the French can print res, but here we go, big battle. We got mangonels and we've got spears, we've got knights. This could be a very decisive fight here. Hera needs to get something.
The Mangonels are doing a nice job dealing with the Landsknecht of Vortix over here, and you see, once the blue Landsknecht go down, those red ones will just slaughter everything. These are the Mangonel shots that Hera needed, and Vortix will need his own Mangonels. Behind this one, Hera is controlling the sacred sites, by the way. Not sure when that countdown started, but it probably was going on for at least 2 or so minutes, and now Vortix is in a bit of a troublesome spot, because one thing he doesn't have anymore is mineable gold. He still has the Regnitz Cathedral, which is 900 gold per minute, but the Landsknecht are extremely expensive on the gold cost. There is just 9 Landsknecht every minute. Compare that to Hera, who has a way weaker economy. We're talking about 50 versus 99 villagers, so half the villager count, but he's got a way more reliable gold income, and that's probably more important than the food income over here, because...
Yeah, all that gold in the middle is going to be nice. Now, he just grabbed that sacred site, right? So he just started that countdown? I'm kind of curious. Like, I kind of got this feeling Hera is thinking about going for a sacred site victory or something.
Yeah, he needs to. Like, his economy is just absolute junk compared to his opponent's eco. He has to go for that sacred site victory. But it would be great if the spec overlay told us.
Yeah, chat says 36 minutes, 35 seconds. Thank you so much.
Okay. That's actually pretty good for Hera, because that's already going on for like 2.5 minutes. And at this point, Hera's at 46 army, his opponent's only at 28. And the problem for Vortix is that the Landsknecht are hard to deal with if you don't have your own Mangonels. And for Hera, I can see sort of that Landsknecht, some Spearmen maybe supported by Mangonels work out.
Yeah, and looking at just the macro and the top, or the res, both players have been spending it all, but Vortix just very quickly replenishing his supplies, as you can see there. And now those knights running in, trying to do some raids. They will probably pick up a few extra villagers, and I think Hera's looking to shore up that middle a little bit. Maybe we'd like to see him, like, do you drop a keep in this situation, or is that just too expensive? Do you just keep going for more army? Obviously, he's the lower teched army, so I don't know.
It's a decision point. You can make a keep here, but it's going to require you to start mining a ton of stone, and that means that you're diverting villagers from food and gold. Now, given the fact that Hera only has 41 villagers to work with, I feel like going for a keep is not something I can justify.
Yeah.
It's very expensive, and the thing is that his opponent could have bombards out, right?
Yep.
It's actually more cost-effective for Hera to go for these sort of standalone towers, go for the spring golden placements. And honestly, stone walls, maybe stone wall towers could be better for Hera compared to an
There we go,
actual
guys.
keep.
A stone wall at the north. Man, this would be insane. If Hera holds this, I swear. I can't make bets anymore because I said if Salami beat Viper on stream that I would get an elephant tattoo, and then he did it. And, man, you know, I'm in a tricky situation here.
Oh, wait, here come the Landsknechte, though. You need Mangonels. If Vortix brings in his own Landsknechte and Mangonels, then there's very limited chance here for Hera. Alternatively, Quaverins could work very nicely for Vortix. But keep in mind, he's limited on gold. So every single Landsknecht that he loses, every single siege weapon that he could lose is immensely painful for him. If you look at the gold income, that's going to be basically even, despite the fact that Hera is behind by a whopping 80 villagers.
Yeah, I think Vortex has realized that he has to stop this. And, I mean, this is Hera's last stand, right? I mean, he's going to have a smaller army. He's got to somehow outmaneuver, figure out how he can make some small victories here. And if Vortex just slow pushes, but not too slow, could be able to win here. And, I mean, Vortex could even send in a bunch of villagers, right? I mean, he can park them on his siege units. He's got so many villagers, and they repair fast. There comes a keep, and down goes that wall.
Hera's gonna open up his walls, which is a risky move, but he wants to prevent that castle from going up. But that's all about that. The Landsknecht getting eaten by the Mangonels. That's how you want to fight that for Hera. Knights diving in on the Mangonels, but the Landsknecht go down.
Yeah, that's honestly for Hera. This has been a good engagement so far. If he could somehow, with the Mangonel shot, stop the villagers. Oh my gosh! It doesn't matter that he loses those villagers, but if he stops this keep from going up, this is a win for Hera right now. What an absolute epic hold for Hera. Wow, wow, wow.
This is one thing that we could call a win with a capital W, because that's exactly the type of fight that Hera needs. And it's even better, because the wood line has been overchopped and the army is just non-existent for Vortix. Vortix is at 16 army and Hera can just run in, rampage everything. Before that fight, I was just about to say that Vortix doesn't need to rush this. He can take his time, make one big push, because if your push fails, you don't have time to prepare another one, and that's exactly what we could see over here. About 4 minutes remaining on a counter, and Hera could pull off a win here with 40. Just a spectacular fight for him.
I can't believe this. Honestly, I think Hera needs to focus the barracks and not the villagers. Like, killing villagers is a moot point at this time. He needs time, and he needs his army to be alive. And you see Vortix walking around with, like, 60 villagers building barracks. He's going to just be spamming units. Hera needs to get out of there, and he is probably losing knights to slowly killing villagers.
I think at this point you probably can't take down the barracks.
Yeah.
And I can see why Hera is killing the villagers. I think your entire point here is that you just want to slow down Vortix as much as possible. Chasing villagers left and right is going to slow down his economy. You see there's a ton of idols over here that need to be fixed, and every second matters here for Hera. There's 3 minutes remaining on a counter, and now he's going to start getting stone walls.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that could be it. I know he's spamming units. Is he making bombards? Is he training bombards? Because he might get stuck behind this wall. I know, but is he training the bombards right now? Is he?
Nope.
And he's spamming out units right now, but if he can't get through that wall... I mean, looking at the score of Hera, the fact he's been down at villagers, if he wins this thing, I mean, I just can't believe it. It's crazy. 36 minutes to 25 seconds, I think, is the time we're looking for. And he looks like he has all the time in the world with the fact that there are no siege units out to take down the wall. Knights distracting the spearmen right now. Sure, he could chop around the wall, I guess.
Too much. I think it's too much time. He's trying to do that. He's gonna try to do that, but there is a lot of mangonels set up over there, and once again, gotta love how Hera is just sending in some knights. It's all about buying time, because the only resource that's very precious right now for Hera is time. Looking at Vortix, you see Hera is going for double layer stone walls. I don't think that Vortix can legitimately chop through fast enough over here. He might be able to open up this left side, though. That is probably his last glimpse of hope.
He could do that. Oh my gosh, this is this is what a photo finish. If this is the finish, we might be going to game 7 if Hera can get around. Look at those villagers chopping through, but Mangonels also will be very effective against those units. He just needs to hold for another few minutes here. But yeah, you're right. He's gonna get through the left side. I can't believe he hasn't walled that.
Hera sees it, but he's not reacting to it so far. And now the villagers are through. About 1.5 minutes remaining. It's one last hurrah for Vortix.
Oh, big Mangonel shot on the villagers.
Oh my goodness!
Down the spearman. I mean, Hera's so close. Will he be able to hold though? Those are Imperial Age units, of course, up against the Castle Age units of Hera.
But there is no Mangonel support.
Ton.
There is no Mangonel support, and the Landsknecht is probably the most fragile infantry in the entire game. Just a volley of Mangonels finishes them off, and you gotta ask yourself the question, will that keep be enough for Vortix? Even if it goes up, but the answer is no. Even if that keep goes up, it might not be enough to win the game for him. Vortix is sending everything at this point, I think.
This is a Vortix throw. I mean, we had this... I mean, I thought for sure I had this game, and Hera just fighting all the way to the very end. I mean, there's no way he stops this at this point, from what I can see.
Yeah, there's no way. There's about 30 seconds remaining. Double layer stone walls. Obviously, Vortix is pretty much out of gold, so he only has the Ragnitz Cathedral working for him, whereas Hera's got all the mineable gold in the middle denied from his opponent. I think the key thing was, as Vortix is once again trying a desperate chop through, but nope. Nope. Nope.
That's a war crime right there. Man, historians are going to write about this play. This was crazy. I mean, talk about like such a big moment, possibly clinching for Vortix.
3, 2, 1.
I think it's 40. I think we got like 9 seconds left here.
Okay, 3. Yeah, there it is.
It is! Tied up! We're going on to game number 7. Holy cow! Did not see this coming. Congratulations to Hera. So much on the line and staying alive in this, going to game 7.
Oh boy. Wow. I don't know what's up with the French pass over here for the winner stays on, but I have to say that we had Castle versus Marine Lord 2 weeks ago where Castle just went full stone walls with Delhi and went for a sacred site. It was very cheesy, and now we have this crazy hold from Hera. And I think it was all about that failed push here for Vortix that set him back. If you look at the military graph, there was a fight where he just lost so much, and then he was sort of able to get back, but he never really had the decisive army advantage. I think if he waits 3-4 minutes here, just builds up a tiny bit bigger army, makes 2 or 3 Coverins, which are expensive on the gold cost, but he could have waited 2 minutes with the Ragnitz Cathedral, sell some food. He had the eco to do that. If he has 2 Coverins there to destroy the Mangonels, he wins that battle, but he never had an answer to the Mangonels, and all those fragile light infantry units, the Landsknecht and the Spearmen, just get slaughtered by the Mangonel fire.
I just hope Hera's got his Twitch chat. Hopefully he's got a towel for his brow, because I'm sure he is sweating after that victory out of nowhere. I mean, that's just... I mean... This goes to show you can have all the resource advantage in the world, but you still have got to have your military tactics to seal the deal.